Okay, I would like to announce our next speaker, Mr. Drion. He's a professor in facility management and a partner at hospitality consultant, and he actually has, well, on both sides of the fence. He's a practitioner as well as a researcher, so I'm very curious what he's about to say. Mr. Drion.
Thank you very much, Paul. Here's the point, yes. Yeah, actually I do have a similar story like Erik told. Maybe Erik approached it from a theoretic eye point, and I will be more of some a pragmatic approach and more societal approach, and I will approach it focusing on people and not so much on IT. I am not a crystal gazer, so don't expect from me what the future will look like. But as you all, I had history lessons on school, and I think it's very necessary that we have futurology lessons as well from now on. Because we are all involved with the work environment, and it's very important that we have scenarios of what will happen and that we can anticipate on that. Buildings will stay 20 years at least, and so it's important that we anticipate. So that Erik is telling a similar story as I do, and I agree for 80–90% with him. And I tell then the story about the future with some points where Erik is not agreeing on. It's a good way because it must be on every agenda, the future. I had a subtitle, so what will the future look like? And well, in 2009 I wrote a book, Work in Wonderland, together with two colleagues, and we compared some disciplines, I will explain you later, to have a kind of a methodology to come up with scenarios. And while writing that book, I saw this picture on the internet, and it amazed me, it surprised me, especially the monitor in the bottom middle. This guy is talking to his wife, and in 1922, the guy who painted or who created this picture, he has so much vision that he predicted, based on radio technology, that we will have Skype. And we will have a digital phone book. We can point on a globe and just click and just put a switch in it, and then we can talk with whoever. He already designed the fax and remote control for loading and unloading ships, and the automatic identification system for ships. He wrote, there's some text attached to this picture, and I was very amazed. And crewless ships and automated radio-controlled airplanes, so the drones were already predicted as well. So this was amazing, and I think it's necessary that we make the same picture for the future, for the work environment, for organizations and so on. And maybe we have different pictures per region, globally, per branch and so on, but it's important that we do that, and I have a big affinity to that. The changes have more frequency. The effect of changes is growing, and it's much bigger than some time ago. So this is a little balloon at the left, and it becomes a very huge one at the right. And we live in a paradigm shift at the moment. So that's what we need to realize. And in the book we compared economy, sustainability, technology and people together, and we analyzed and we described the future of organizations and so on. But for today I have chosen, well, people, but three other ones, and that's the mobility and macro technology and IT. And if you follow those focus points and you relate it to them, maybe you come to scenarios. Last year we had a conference at our university, and there we had some other areas. We had hospitality industry, we had mobility, real estate, and facility management. So it's a way of researching and concluding. Let's start with people. You all know this picture, and what we see, the man at the right is not happy. He's sitting behind the desk and he's obviously not happy. And same as Erik said, we are not happy since some 100 years. And at our book, on the cover, Rolf Jensen wrote a recommendation for our book, and Rolf Jensen wrote Dream Society. And he says that people are tribal animals, and they were used to hunt a mammoth when there was no meat anymore, and they stopped. Some men stood up and they said, well, we are going to hunt a mammoth, and then they have gone for a couple of weeks, come back with meat and so on. And when they are back, one starts again with tomatoes, and the other one has some chickens and so on. And it's a kind of project, a temporary project. And that's the way we like to work. And actually, from 1800 to 2013, we were in a period where we were not happy. The conveyor belts were introduced, the clocks, we had to work in office buildings, and it was not what we wanted. So we become happy again after right now. And that is happening. If you see this lady, she's a student, and in 10 years she will be a manager. And our students are never sitting at the desk. They are sitting on fat boys, or like this lady on the ground, or whatever, but not at desks. And if she's not a manager, she will be a slash worker. So working in the morning for company A, in the afternoon for the competitor of company A, and in the evening arranging and running her own web shop. So that's how people change. But hospitality is also a very interesting point right now in a work environment. This man, I know him. He is a security host. It's a new function since the receptionist is saved out because of cost reduction. So they combined the security and the receptionist, and this guy knows from all employees, 400 employees, the first name and the surname, and he knows something to tell about them. When he is in his function, he says, good morning, John, how is the new car you got? Hi Mary, your husband is still ill, how is he doing, and so on. He knows everything of 400 people, and he uses 2 monitors, and on one monitor he sees who goes to the security device, and on the other one he opens a database with all employees, he relates the information, and he listens what those employees tell to each other, to the colleagues. And when there was a retender on security, another supplier came, and the board, not the facility manager, but the CEO called the new supplier, and he said, we just want to have Ben, this guy is called Ben, we want to keep him. How can we arrange that? So it was very strategic, and hospitality, we have lots of examples how you can create the soul in an organization by simple examples. And then mobility. There are a lot of people who say, well, in the future we can manage completely virtual. We don't need to meet anymore. I think we must invent a kind of ratio between physical meeting and virtual meeting. And well, although we can shake hands virtual in a couple of years, as you see at the left picture, I think we need to have a cup of coffee together. We need to have lunch together at some times. So the hubs Erik is talking of, I think that's very important. And mobility is discovering and inventing a lot, the mobility industry. Automated driving, as you know, in Nevada, I think half a year ago, the first driving license for a blind man was given. And I know Mercedes will come with an automated drive car in 2 years. And you can choose to sit behind the steering wheel like this, or you can sit next to that steering wheel, or you don't go in the car and you tell the car to park at a convenient place in the neighborhood, or you instruct him to bring the kids to the school. So that's coming. And we don't know yet if we will drive in small community cars, or if we will have our own cars. And Volkswagen came with the T6, the Transporter 6 series, as a concept car, which is a mobile office, literally, and you can work there. And if you see that in combination with automatic driving and with track and trace systems, well, and already I talked to people who are developing that. We will have cases where we meet, so some 10 people, and we leave our homes in the morning, and we are constantly updated when we have to leave. We don't know yet, but well, you must be ready in half an hour. And meantime, I get other updates because of traffic jams, and I don't know where I go to. I step in my device, which we call a car now, and that car will drive me to a hub where we all meet, and with the optimum expenditure of time. We will have that in 10, 15 years. The brain-machine technology and interface will come. IBM will launch in a couple of years a computer mouse which you not hold in your hand but put on your head. And if you think the cursor has to go to the left, the cursor goes to the left. A lot of YouTube movies about that. Well, the neuroscience is emerging constantly. So, nice examples of how life will change. And the macro technology also. I think more and more knowledge workers we will have, and we can make our bicycle, other devices ourselves in the future, and we can print it out with 3D printers. And this is too fast. In IT, we will have indoor navigation. It already exists. I wonder if this is an example of technology push, because why should we? Why should we use that? Because looking for your colleagues can be very worthwhile for a company, because you meet coincidentally people and you exchange new ideas without planning it. And this will be passed by other techniques like these glasses. These glasses are developed by Google, and in a couple of years you can buy them. And it's the principle of overhead display, head-up display, like you have in the car industry also, and where you can see, hey, if his device is open, his LinkedIn profile is open, you can see, hey, that's Erik Veldhoen who I meet, if you don't know him yet, but if you see him walking and you know everything of him, what he wants to be public on his profile. But also the indoor navigation can be integrated in this thing. And a lot of people will say, yeah, but happy, I'm not happy then, because now I have my personal workplace and I have my own stuff, my own pictures, my photographs. And then I say, well, in the future you will have augmented reality. You switch on your smartphone and you will see everything 3D with holographic technology and so on. And you can apply this to whole buildings as well. If you want to have a certain house style, because some people from one company are there, it just with a switch, just press a button and you will have it. We are still talking and benchmarking per workplace, and on occupant, I think we need a new dictionary, because working is typical word from the period of the industrialization. Working is not an output-related activity. It's just being there from 9 to 5. Sharing would be a much better word, or contributing to a better world, adding value. And place, yeah, what's a place? Place can be virtual, can be physical. So we need to have other words. Yeah, lots is said today about these kind of concepts like seats to meet, regions, places, and they really are good solutions to meet. And I hope we will meet then in buildings which are future-proof, buildings which are not specific designed for a certain specs, but for much more. And we must have a kind of system to certify buildings. If we build new, I think we can keep it with the buildings we have right now for work environment. And how do we get people there? Well, by seducing them, we need to read books like this, and we need to see all people, all occupants in a building, visitors, suppliers, but employees also, your colleagues, as guests. Seducing is very important to get people there, because indeed, technically seen, they have no reason to come there. And managers must become navigators, as we wrote in Work in Wonderland. They must be servant leaders, as well as leaders by example, with a good philosophy, a mission, a good story where people gravitate to. And we need to have methodologies of creating that seductive areas, environments, by using, for instance, guest journeys, where you can define experience levels against touch points where people meet, and keeping that as a starting point for the whole specification of the specs. So then you come at very different ideas, for instance, using slides next to the stairs. And on Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam Airport, we did the research, and we found out that for the score of user travel satisfaction amongst cleaning, the attitude of cleaners is much more important than the technical cleanliness. So we need to make this picture for the future. And That's for sure my objective for the future, and then it could be called sharing in 2032 as seen from now. Thank you very much.